you doing, Brother Craig? How you doing?
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Monday, everybody. Happy Monday. Hope everybody's doing well this morning. Hope everything has gotten off to a good foot or is getting that way for you. It's a happy morning. First day of the new week that we work. Yep, I'm back at it too, man. I'm back on the grind. But before we get into the pleasantries, welcome to Morning Motivation, your daily dose of inspiration and empowerment. I'm your host, Jamon, and I'm thrilled to have you join us as we kickstart our day with positivity and purpose. So whether you're here for like-minded individuals or to simply get your day started on the right foot, you've come to the right place. And on your way in, go ahead and hit that like button. Let us know you're here. And if you're a first-time visitor, we are one big, happy family here. Don't hesitate to say hello, to chat. I promise we will not bite. What up, boo? Auntie Canada in the building. Craig G in the building. That chick, yo, what up, cuz? Hey, y'all, man. Good to see you. Good to see you. It seems like because we did five days a week for so long, it seems 2 days a week just seems like it's I'm a little thrown off because last week we started talking about decision making, and I talked about how personally I procrastinate on certain decisions. Sometimes you don't know if you're hearing from God. You don't know if you need to make decisions because they are personal to you or they're best for the family. Talked about, getting the word from God to sacrifice my son by taking him to the lake and and baptizing him until he stopped moving. And people would think I was crazy if I did it. Or if you saw a news story and somebody said, you must be out of your mind to think something like that. God would never tell you to baptize your son like that. Well, he told Abraham, told him to take Isaac up to the mountaintop. Don't worry about the sacrifice. You're going to have one with you. But decisions are tough, man. Sometimes when we have to make decisions that change our life, we go into a lot of different spaces. Some of them are worry, regret. So I want to start off this morning with a question. Actually, a couple of questions. And as we're going to focus more on overthinking today, that's the question that I want to begin with. What usually triggers your overthinking? What generally triggers your overthinking? And as we start, I want to do a little story time today. And I want to talk about a time when I was in a space where I had to make a really tough decision, because the decision not only was going to impact me, but it was also going to impact my family, those I held dear, my ability to provide for them, my ability to be functional as a human being, not just as a man. So before I get started, before I go any deeper, I want to do a very special shout out to my baby, my daughter. And she may not watch no other day of the year, but she gonna watch this morning to see if I shout her out on her born day. T Grizzle, happy birthday, baby. Love you, love you, love you, love you. Today is a very special day to all of us, as she would say, not just to her, because she's a gift. Oh, man, that's my baby, though. And she made it real clear yesterday that it was a special day to all of us. Okay. All right. That's out of the way. I'm going to shoot you a text in a little bit. I'm going to shoot you a text, so, don't be going ham on me. But I shouted you out. The world has seen me shout you out, because I do quite often forget certain things, Out of sight, out of mind. Y'all know how I go. So, overthinking decisions. Overthinking decisions. Yeah, I had to do it. I had to do it publicly, so I have some proof that it really did happen. Had to be a little proof. So, overthinking decisions. There was a time in my life, I say I was about 26, 27, and I had a decision to make. And this decision was whether to stay in the military or to get out of the military. Now, I have been, at this point, it's probably 6 years in, and I'm coming up on a re-enlistment. Actually, matter of fact, I just re-enlisted. But then I had a accident or an injury that was going to allow me to either stay in, but under very special circumstances, or to get out. At the time, I had a young family. I think I've been married at this point maybe 2.5 years, 3 years. So I got a couple of small children. And if I get out, how am I going to provide for my family at the same level that I currently provide for them? That was my dilemma. That was what made me go through a period of overthinking. Hey, appreciate you, boo. And it's a tough decision because I had gotten used to a certain ability or level of provision. My family had gotten used to a certain style of living. And if I get out, well, there is no guarantees anymore. You see, when you're in the military, you're considered government property. You're considered to there's certain things that's going to be taken care of regardless. There's going to be housing. There's going to be the utilities that come with the housing. And there's going to be a paycheck that comes like clockwork, first and the 15th. And in most cases, housing is free. That's part of the obligation. Housing is free. So the only things that I had to really worry about was cell phone. And even during that time, cell phones were so new that not everybody had one. Your internet you had to pay for, your car note, and your grocery bill. I mean, you didn't have to make $100,000 to live really good in the military. But when I got out, oh man, y'all know, clockwork. That rent is due on the 1st. Hey, Stu, your rent's due, mother. Right? Y'all know. Georgia Power, Duke Power, Progress Energy, they want their monies every month. They don't want to hear, well, I didn't get paid. All the things that come with being an adult. And I love high school. Now, granted, I worked in high school. I worked 2 jobs, but I still only had to provide for myself. My parents still paid the mortgage. They still paid the utilities. So at this point in my life, I've never had to do all of the adulting. Put a 1 in the chat if you remember those days. Put a 1 in the chat if you remember all those days when you didn't have to do anything but take care of yourself. The responsibility for the big things were on somebody else. So what generally triggers my overthinking is when there's somebody else that's affected by my decision. Because I have this, I don't want to let people down. I don't want to let my family down. Now me, if I make a bad decision, I'll take the L, I'll keep it pushing. But when somebody else is attached to me, I'm going to second guess it. I'm going to overthink it. I'm going to go to some extreme lengths to try to make sure that I get this decision right. So you guys haven't said yet, what usually triggers your overthinking? So for me, that's what it is. When I have family involved, when I have people that are waiting or looking to me for provision and support, and my decision affecting them, that's when I generally begin to overthink. That's what triggers me. So let me know what triggers y'all. Matter of fact, do you know what triggers your overthinking? Do you know what triggers your overthinking? Because in order to stop doing something, we must first understand the triggers. We must first understand what is causing it. So I'll go ahead and tell you my story while y'all thinking about y'all triggers. I don't remember exactly the order of things. However, when I went to the doctor, and he kind of gave me the bad news. He says, Sergeant Glover, this is the accident. It caused this, and it's never going to heal. It's never going to get any better than what it is right now. Matter of fact, as you get older, it's going to deteriorate progressively, and you may find it difficult to do certain things. So my recommendation for you is to end because you still have the ability to be a soldier. You just have to have these profiles or these things that will take some of the physical stress off of you, but your ability to soldier is fine. However, with prolonged use and prolonged abuse of your body, your quality of life is going to go down. Now, all I've known at this point in my life is physical activity, is soldiering, is being a warrior. That's all I've known. And now that ability is being taken away from me. But it's also taking away my ability to provide for my family. And so I had a very tough decision to make. And I thought about it for a few weeks. And I would try to lay out all the pros and the cons of, they tell you to make a list. Make a list of all your pros and cons, and whichever one is has the more things checked off, you go with that thing. That has never really worked for me, because deep down in our hearts, we know what we want to do most of the time, and then there's some other factor that's keeping us from actually making the decision. And so we overthink it. We're looking for people to convince us. We're looking for situations to change in the short term that'll give us more clarity and more guidance. Put a 1 in the chat if you think that I had a very big decision to make. If you think, or was I overthinking it? It's not that big of a decision. Put a 2 if you think it wasn't that big of a decision. And put a 1 if you think it was a big decision. I'm just curious what y'all think, man, because a lot of times We think the things that matter to us matter to other people. We think the things that are serious to us are serious to other people because we don't see the world as it is. We see it as we are. We look through our lens, through our perspective, and we shroud the rest of the world with the cape that we're wearing. Auntie Canada says, okay, yep, that was a big decision. And so at the time, I was still new in the faith. I've been in church my whole life, but I'm as an adult, I've actually gotten saved for myself. I wasn't sprinkled as a baby or baptized as a 9-year-old, still operating under that faith. I've gotten a knowledge of Christ for myself, and I made the decision on my own. And so I'm going to church on Sundays. I'm in Bible study. I'm reading the Bible, looking for answers, but there is no clarity happening. And so I talked to my pastor, and I said, Pastor, I got a tough decision to make, but I don't know. I don't know how to do it. He was like, well, have you prayed? I said, of course. I said, that's why I'm talking to you, but I don't know. He's like, okay. He said, whenever I need to hear from God, I fast. I said, fast? I've heard of fasting. What exactly is fasting? He said, fasting is when you take something away that's precious to you. It's a sacrifice. And I'm thinking, well, I guess I could leave the house for a couple days, get away. But I'm like, no, that's not a sacrifice. That's actually kind of a little bit of a blessing, getting away from all these babies crying. Well, my wife would not have been happy with me. So I decided, your boy had picked up a few pounds, and I was looking forward to that next meal. So I said, you know what? I'm going to fast from food. That's what I'm going to do. And y'all know I can't do nothing extra. Oh, no. I'm not even going to even read that comment. Inside joke, I think. I think it's an inside joke. And so I fasted, and I said I'm fasting for 10 days. 10 days. No solid foods. No fruits and vegetables. 10 days. Only water. Oh, man. Yep. Do y'all think I was a bit extreme in that? 10 days? 10 days? No food, only water? Put a 1 in the chat if y'all ever fasted for like more than a day. Have you fasted for more than a day? I was under the impression that the more serious the situation, the more clarity you needed, you had to do extreme things. So this is what my brain would have said if this was said to me at that time. Ain't nobody trying to hear about not eating. Yeah, my brain said the same thing. 21 days, the Daniel fast. Ooh, Auntie Candace said the 21 Daniel fast. Yep. See, it takes time. Over time, maturity sets in, and you understand that most decisions, that's just what they are. It's a decision. You turn left, you turn right. You never trying to make a decision. You either make the decision or you don't. You either make the decision or you don't. Overthinking. I think about, I'm either going to get out. This is my decision. I'm either going to get out of the military right now with no plan, and I'm going to have to figure it out, or I'm going to stay in and potentially cause more harm to myself. It's not an easy choice when you pride yourself in your ability to provide. Because in the military, you're providing. Matter of fact, you're providing very easily. Now you got to deal with the politics and the bureaucracy, but the provision portion is taken care of. You don't have, quote unquote, the freedom that you would have if you were a civilian. But as a civilian, I have the freedom to go and do whatever I want. But I don't have the necessary skills at this point in my life outside of manual labor jobs, security jobs, jobs that don't require a lot of certifications or education. But then those jobs are going to do the same thing. They're going to beat my body up. So I fasted for 10 days. And I was actually okay. First day, by the third day, my body had settled into this little space and I was feeling good. But by that sixth day, them prayers got more intense. Them prayers got a little bit more serious. And it became a real conversation. Why am I doing this? Now all of a sudden my wife turned into a gourmet chef and she's cooking all my favorites. I'm laying in the bed and the aromas are coming through the vents and I feel myself floating, just smelling everything. But no, I'm holding fast to it. But I'm still at work. I'm not getting any exemptions because I'm fasting. I still got to go do PT. And so my body is like, bruh, we ain't got no more energy. What we doing? We burning up all the stored fat. What we doing? So I went and I talked to my doctor and I told him I was fasting. He said, well, look, you work too hard and you burn too much energy. You need to at least do protein shakes. You need to do something to get some more protein in your system and add some calories because you can't burn calories and don't put nothing in. He's unsurprised you hadn't passed out by now. And I said, God has got me. God is keeping me from passing out. I believe my faith is strong enough. Jesus did it for 40 days in the wilderness. He was tempted. I'm being tempted right now by all these gourmet chefs and these fast food restaurants. I'm being tempted and I will win because I need my answer. I need my answer. I was determined I need my answer. And so I held out for another 6 hours. I held out for another 6 hours and I went straight to the grocery store and I bought me some protein shakes. And when I tell you that first shake was life. Oh, that was manna from heaven. It was the best thing I'd ever tasted in my life at that point. But I held on to my thing, my decision. I fasted for 10 days. So the first 7 was only water, and the last 3 was the protein shakes and the water. And at the end of my 10 day, what do y'all think happened? Did I wake up with the clarity? Or did I wake up even more confused? Did I wake up with an answer and a plan? Or did I wake up the same way I did on day 9? What y'all think? What y'all think? On day 10, did I wake up with what I set out to get, what I set out to receive? Day 10, I woke up. I felt great because I knew I was about to go eat something. I knew I was going to be eating something real soon. I felt accomplished because I set a goal and I reached it. So I hopped up out the bed, so turned my swag on, and looked in the mirror, said, I'm done. Yeah. That's about right. I knew I was about to be eating again. But now, y'all, I woke up and I was no closer to a decision on day 10 than I was on day 1. And I think what I started to realize is that although the decision is tough, it was never a spiritual decision. I'm praying, God, if I'm supposed to get out, Lord, just blink the light. Thunder one time. Give me a sign, Lord. Show me which, do I go left or do I go right? I'm gonna put a pencil on the counter, and Lord, if you want me to stay in, let the pencil roll off. I mean, I was making all these bargains and all these deals, trying to get all these answers, trying to find all these solutions. When you find yourself in that situation, what you're doing is overthinking it. Now I know some of y'all ain't asking God to blink the light or to make the curtains move, and then the curtain move. You're like, oh, God gave me my answer, but then you realize it was just the vent above the curtains that made the curtain move. And when we're overthinking, we have the most extreme reactions, the most extreme behaviors. When the truth that I wouldn't let myself see then was that for me, the military had run its course. I was really done with the military. And I was regretting the fact that I re-enlisted. But you see, I re-enlisted because that's what I was supposed to do. And they was going to give me a little money. That re-enlistment bonus looked nice on paper. But I had joined the military and I achieved what I went for. Everything else was just, I was just there because I didn't have a plan. Toronto Riggins says, still needing an answer. Yep. Still needing an answer. And so I wavered for like another month or two. Then eventually one day, I went to my doctor and I said, hey, doc, go ahead and start the paperwork. He said, okay, I'll do it. And within the next 6 months, I was a civilian again. And that's when the fun began. Because I did it very wrong. I spent more time agonizing over the decision. I spent more time agonizing on to stay or to go that I didn't spend those 6 months planning what I'm going to do when I get out, or what I'm going to do if I get out versus what I'm going to do if I stay in. You see, that was the real decision. That was the real decision. Not to get out or to stay in. The decision is, if I'm out, what do I do? And I had to face that question on the outside. Now I left, I had saved up a bunch of money. I had got a little bit of money for my re-enlistment bonus that they didn't take all of it back. They let me keep some of it. So when I got out, I wasn't broke. No, by no stretch of the imagination, I was not broke. But as an adult, you realize that if you're spending money and ain't none coming in, it go fast. It go real fast. And as the months are ticking by, my bank account is getting lower, and I'm having to answer all the questions that I did not answer while I was in. Because I was overthinking the wrong question. So the first thing you have to come to terms with when you have a tough decision to make is, am I thinking about the right thing? Am I thinking about the right thing? Do I take this job? Do I take that job? Do I stay in this relationship? Do I end the relationship? That's not the most important question. The most important question is, if I stay in this relationship, does it look any different? Am I going to do something different? If I leave this relationship, what am I going to do? Am I going to get right back into another relationship? Am I going to, as they say, monkey branch from one person to the next person? Or am I going to go sit off in a cut by myself for the next 5 years? Is this relationship I'm in, is it really as bad as my mind is telling me it is right now? What's making it so bad? Why can't I stay? And what am I hoping to find if I leave it? Or do I not want to find anything? You see, all those questions surround the stay or go conversation, the get out or stay in conversation. There's some other questions and some things. And if to some of us that's common sense, to me it's common sense now. But when I was 26 and 27, it wasn't so common. I didn't see it in those terms. It was just, man, I got a chance to get out, or I got a chance to stay in. I'm kind of tired of this, but then if I get out, I'll have more free. I'm just seeing all the benefits. If I get out, I'll have more freedom. I'll be able to go back to school. I'll be able to do whatever. Fact of the matter is, I could do all that stuff while I was in the military. I could do pretty much the same things in the military as I can do outside the military, except have the provision of the U.S. government behind me, right? So, how to stop overthinking the big decisions. That's where we are in today. And so for the next few minutes, I want to talk about roughly about five things or 5 tips to kind of get us on the same path. Now, this wasn't a spiritual decision. However, I did need clarity. So the fasting for me, it made sense in the moment. My clothing fit a little bit better after 10 days of no food. My skin cleared up. I got a lot of benefits. I got everything but the answer that I needed. And so what I should have done was, instead of agonizing over to get out and stay, I should have refocused my thinking, refocused what was the heart of the matter, and then kept it 100 with myself. So the first thing that I should have done was, 1, acknowledge my feelings about it. The moment that doctor told me, hey, Son Glover, you got this going on with your body. You can still stay in, or you can get out. There's some other things that could happen for you, or you can stay in and potentially, it could go downhill. In the moment he told me, and I think we all have moments of clarity. When we get some news or some information, sometimes we get this feeling of, wow. It's joy, it's excitement. It's like, yes, that's what I want. And then we start thinking about it, and it's like, but no, if I do this, then what about this? We'll call that, I can't say that word. Sober-mindedness. How about that? We'll say sober-mindedness. You become a little bit more sober-minded in the moment, after the initial moment pass. And sometimes we feel bad for feeling good about certain things. Matter of fact, put a 1 in the chat if you've had to make a decision that you low-key wanted to make the decision to be done with something, but then you felt bad for wanting to be done, for wanting it to be over, for wanting to move on. And you went through this whole thing back and forth, making lists, talking to people, but you already knew what you wanted to do. You already knew what you wanted to do. But the second thing, for me, is having people dependent on me. But that second thing, you're afraid of you making the wrong decision. You're afraid that you're making the wrong decision. And so now you start to overthink it. And now you're not making a pure decision because you haven't acknowledged the feelings about it to yourself yet. You haven't been truthful with yourself and said, I don't like this. I don't care how much benefit it gives me. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. And that's honestly how I felt. When the doctor told me that, I had no reason to even want to leave the military. I was well taken care of. I was able to provide for my family. My family there, my mom, pop, sister, brother, I was able to be a lot for a lot of people. How people look at me, though. If I stayed in with the injury that I had. How will my other soldiers look at me, though? Will they still respect me as a warrior? Will they still be proud to have me watching their back? Or will I become a liability? You see, there's a lot of nuances to decision making. But once you acknowledge that you have feelings about it, once you admit that, yeah, I kind of want this to be over. And then even whoever whoever people that you confide in, say, look, I really want this to be over, and I need y'all to talk me into not doing it. I'm just being honest, because I am leaning heavily toward this thing is done. But I might be emotional right now. So help me reconcile my feelings versus my wants. And those would, if you have true friends, those are the conversations that you can have. Because if you just stay in your head about it all the time, you're probably not going to make a good decision. And the second part, the first one was acknowledging. The second part is actually breaking down the pros and cons. I know I talked a little drunk about it, but it still works. Being able to see sometimes on paper or on screen, however you do your notes now, it helps to see what this, I'm going to just use job, what this job adds to my life. Without this job, what will my life look like? Especially if there's no other job. So I'm gonna pause right quick, and I'm gonna say this. If you don't have a job and you don't have a means to take care of yourself or your children, you should probably stay in that job until you got another job to go to. Just gonna say it. Now, did I do that? No, I did not. I did not. I did it the other way. I made the emotional decision. And there's nothing wrong with making the emotional decision because I was done. But after I made the emotional decision, I thought that was the decision. I know then at that point, I didn't say, now that I made my decision, I got 6 months to figure it out. So now I'm focused on out processing. I'm connecting with people that I don't want to lose contact with because, social media wasn't even a thing back then. This was early 2000. This was before Facebook came out. And Facebook was out. This was, I think Black Planet was out. Now that I think about it, yeah. Black Planet was out. MySpace maybe was just getting started when I had to make this decision. So it wasn't like I was able to keep in touch like we are now. I was focusing on all the wrong things. Now I did set up some interviews and things when I got out, but because of where I was located, I couldn't just go find a job because I was in Alaska. So I couldn't just go drive to the next city and do the whole job thing. Put a 1 in the chat. You remember Black Planet? I want to see something for a second. How old y'all in here? Who remembers Black Planet? Black Planet was really the first social media app, y'all. Black Planet was before MySpace, so yeah, but it don't get the credit. Of course it don't get the credit, of course, But Black Planet was the first social media app. Truly was. I connected with people all across this country. Bobby says 0. Decatur, I've never really. Nobody knows what Black Planet is in here? Oh, man. Okay, I get it. Actually, wow. Well, for you youngsters in the room, Black Planet was the first social media app. It was, yes, it was. Oh, man, it was. Matter of fact, Black Planet was out when there was only dial-up. Netscape was the most popular browser. Google wasn't even a thing yet. Oh, and you were not a baby. I mean, I get it. It's not polite to tell your age, but I was just curious. And oh, I was about to Google it. You can probably Google it, but yeah, it was a very popular app. I mean, I'm in Alaska. I am outside of, I'm on the other side of Canada. Everybody don't have computers in their house yet. And people that do have computers, they just doing schoolwork on them. They're not really on the internet. They don't have dial-up service. But black folk, young black folk, those early or middle-aged Gen Xers, no, ma'am. Horse. That's where you live, baby. That's where they was popular. You know what? Shout out to Craig G. He said, I remember. Thank you. Ladies have things about, people knowing their age, but hey, man, I'm telling you, that was history. People want to say, I was on Facebook when it first started because it was only for college kids. It was the first. No, it wasn't the first. Neither was MySpace. It was Black Planet. But y'all got me going down a rabbit hole now. Anyway. But yeah, Black Planet was the first social. Black Planet was the first social media. And it was fun. It was cool. Appreciate it, man, because these sisters, bro, I tell you, y'all be tripping a brother up, man. Y'all be doing it on purpose. So we talked about the first step being acknowledging the emotions behind it. It's okay that you want to end this thing. It's okay that you want to go get that job. You seen this thing, you want to do that thing. It's okay. It really is okay. Your feelings are valid. What you feel, what you want, it all matters. And sometimes, yes, you have to sacrifice, especially once you become a parent, you do have to sacrifice what you want for what your children need. If you're a husband, you got to sacrifice sometimes what you want, what's best for the family. If you're a wife, sometimes, yes, you got to sacrifice what's important for the family versus what's important for you in certain situations. But those aren't life-changing, life-altering situations. It's just Tuesday. I want steak, but they want pizza. Fine, y'all, we can have pizza. I'll just get my steak later. Those are decisions as well. And it's okay not to want the pizza. Matter of fact, go buy your steak too. But your husband's going to eat half of it, so, might as well just eat the pizza and not be mad. Just saying. So breaking it down, creating your list, just so you can mentally see, one, is this what the real issue is? Two, these are the benefits. These are the disadvantages. And we're going back to that famous question that I always ask. What do you want? I can honestly say I didn't really want to get out of the military because I knew when I got out, I don't want to go back to where I came from, and that's why I joined the military, to get away. So what am I going to do? I don't know. I do the same job, because I had a high-tech job. I could do the same work on the outside. I could probably make way more money. But the friendship that I had made, the connections that I had made, the skills that I was building, I really didn't want to give that up. However, I had this fear. I had this dream one time. I'm going to be really honest about this dream. I dreamed that I was, I know I'm originally from New Jersey. And I had this dream that I was in this second floor or second story apartment. And I was looking out the window. And I was like wheelchair bound. And I'm just staring out the window, watching traffic go by. And that was my life, confined to this wheelchair, watching life pass me by. And that dream, you have a dream every now and then that it's hard to shake. And so my reason for not staying in the military wasn't because I didn't like the military, because I was tired of the military, because I wanted my freedom. I wanted to be able to go do, because be honest with you, 30-40% of people that get out the military early, they try to go back in. Because it's a great deal. The whole thing, except going to war, that's potentially the downside, the negative to it. But that never bothered me. I've been a fighter my life. I was mad when a couple skirmishes happened and we got called up, but we never deployed. I was like, because I really wanted to go. I know I'm weird, but that's just it's just who I am. I've always loved to fight. Now today, I think that bug has passed me, because I don't want to fight no more. I just want peace now. Back in the day, that's what I was. And so I had to acknowledge my feelings behind it. I'm afraid of this dream. If I stay in, this might become my reality. And I don't want that. So I made a decision for my family that didn't change their life very much, but it changed mine. Because when I got out with no job. I had money, but no job. And when it came down to it, I'm working 2 and 3 jobs just to make the same standard of life. But it was my decision to make, and I had to own it. And I went out there and I did it. I did it. I complained a little bit, but not a whole lot. Because I was working too much. I had time to complain. I had time to complain. I was working too much. So yeah, so first one was acknowledging your feelings. Second one is breaking it down. Third thing is seeking input. Go to the people who you trust, their thoughts, who you trust, their opinions, who generally want your well-being. And those people typically are very close friends or family members. Because most people do have an agenda, whether they realize it or not. If you're thinking about leaving your church, you probably don't want to go talk to your pastor. Because he's gonna tell you to pray about it. Pray about it. Pray about it. You know, God, you know, especially if you a good tithe paying member, if you paying not 10 but 15%, oh, that pastor don't want to see you go. No, we gonna figure out what's going on. We gonna fix this, brother. We gonna fix this, sister. But there are some people in your life. It may only be one. It could be 10, depending on how you have, you know, connected with people over your time. But there's somebody in your corner. And if not, there's a thing called a therapist. Oh, man. You know, somebody who is they're not attached to the decision that you're going to make. And they can actually see it from a larger view. And that's what sometimes we don't do. We go to people who's going to echo sisterhood. We go to people who are going to, you know, echo what we're saying and not give us the bird's eye view. Some of my fellas, y'all do the same thing. Y'all go to people who are going to agree with you and not give you the real. Fourth, you got to set a deadline. When will I make this decision? And you got to set the deadline relatively soon. The moment you realize, okay, this is a tough one. All right, 2 weeks. I'm making this decision in 2 weeks. Because now it just put a sense of urgency on it. Now you just can't sit around and pondering it and taking long walks and a month in, dragging it out, and the longer you drag it out, the tougher it gets. Sometimes it's easier just to rip the tape off. Hair grow back. Sometimes you gotta just make the doggone decision and deal with whatever consequences come with it, because that's how you learn. That's how you learn. That's how you grow. That's how you learn who you are. It's making the decisions and owning them. And the fifth thing in how to stop overthinking your decisions is to accept the imperfection. Accept the imperfection. No, this is not going to be a perfect decision. Things are not going to work out perfectly. That's also why it's important to understand your motives behind it, your emotions behind it, the feelings that you have behind it. Because if you make a decision based on somebody else's promise, and your heart told you in the beginning, I ain't really feeling it, but this is a good deal, too good to pass up, so I'm gonna just go with it. And then it don't work out. Those decisions are called setbacks, unfortunate setbacks. Now, if you believed it, you trusted it, you thought it was the best thing moving, you thought everything in me tells me that this is right, and then it don't work out, guess what? You can live with that much easier, right? You can live with it Much easier. Because you felt that it was the best thing. You know, I often talk about regret and the regrets that I have. I don't really have many, honestly, I don't really have many regrets, because if I make a decision to do a thing and it don't work out, cool, I learned something. If I make a decision to do something and it do work out, cool, I learned something. It's the journey. If it didn't work out, how can I make it better next time? What could I have done that would have, gave me a different outcome? Or there was nothing I could have done? All right, cool. I chalk it up as a lesson. But if I can make a readjustment and go back and make it better, I still win. I still learned something. And most importantly, I'm not going to be an old man one day sitting around wishing I would have done some things different. I don't care how many times I got to do it wrong until I get it right. I don't care what people are going to say, what people are going to think. I mean, don't get me wrong. I do care, but I know that these people don't have my best interests. They have their thoughts and their opinions. I want to look favorable to them. I want to not be the laughing stock of it, or the butt of people's jokes. But it is my life. And it is up to me to make my life the best life I can make it. And I can't let those people's input, thoughts, fears interrupt my life. Because there's many people who live for other people and then they become old and it's too late to go back and redo things. Because they never truly lived their life. Because they got stuck on decisions. They kept overthinking decisions. And the overthinking led to procrastination. And the procrastination led to a deflated self-worth, deflated self-esteem. Now you have no momentum. Now you're stuck. And you're waiting for somebody to come along and throw a rope to you to pull you out. But nobody's coming with the rope. Nobody's coming with a truck and a rope to pull you out, at least not in the time you want them to. So you got to start crawling one step, one knee, one hand, one vine, one thing at a time. You got to start making your way out. And I'll be honest with you, the key for me is acknowledging how I feel about this thing and not feeling guilty for feeling it. Not feeling guilty for feeling it. Because that's the thing that keeps most of us stuck. That's the thing that keeps most of us stuck. And while we get stuck overthinking big decisions, small decisions, because we ignore how we feel about it. Because we shouldn't feel that way. If people knew I felt this way, then, oh, that's not proper. Man, damn proper. You don't always have to play by somebody else's rules. You just don't. So many possibilities in life. You can have it in a lot of ways. But you got to be willing to pay the consequences for the disturbance you're going to cause. But if you feel it's right in your heart, you can live with that. But if you know you should have done a thing and you didn't, that will haunt you. So, how to stop overthinking the big decisions. How to stop overthinking the big decisions. That has been a skill that I've learned through the years. It has been something that I've had challenges with in the past, but not really anymore. Now I just do the things. I do the things because I want to, because it makes me feel good. It makes me feel productive. I feel like I'm adding. And when I feel like I'm doing good, I feel like I'm adding. I feel like I'm productive. I can do more things because in the grand scheme of things, so many things don't even matter. 90% of the decisions we make in a day, they don't really matter because it's the decisions that get us along our journey that informs left, right, center. And then we have to make a big decision every now and then. But the thing is, keep moving, keep going, and we will get there. We will have everything that we want, but we got to stay intentional. We got to stay focused, and great things are happening. Great things are happening. So shout out to my guy Craig G. Had a decent weekend, man. Life happens, bro. Sometimes you can prepare. You can do everything possible to make sure the outcomes are what you want, and they still are not going to work out sometimes. Just the way it goes. Pro tip: triple check constantly. Auntie Canada, that chick, yo, y'all are amazing. Appreciate you. Thank you. Hey, boo. A lot of love for you, girl. Grateful for you. All right, y'all. That concludes today's show. Thank you for joining me this morning. And if you've enjoyed today's episode, be sure to give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel for more empowering content. And don't forget to share this video with anybody you know that could use a little morning motivation. Until next time, have an amazing day and keep striving for greatness. And I think we're going to do a new series. Why does this sound different? My ears sound different to me. Can y'all hear me? Okay, yeah. We're going to start a new series, and I'm going to talk about the seasons of life. Just like there's 4, seasons, typically, summer, spring, winter, fall. There's also 4 seasons in life. And I want to start a series on that, but we'll start that on Wednesday. I'll do the intro on Wednesday, and then we'll pick it up from there. So you guys have a great day. Go out there, be safe, love each other, cherish one another. Happy birthday, T Grizzle. Got to say it one more time. Happy birthday, baby. Daddy love you. All right, y'all. We'll see you on Wednesday. Y'all be blessed. Peace.